Hello everybody, in today's video I wanted to share with you how I get my crackle effect on my decoupage work. So there are different types of crackle medium, so in today's video I'm going to talk to you specifically how to use this two-step crackle medium. There are different types. Today we're going to talk about two-step crackle mediums. So if you've seen any of my previous works, which I will put some pictures in here for you, this is the kind of effect that you can get specifically with this crackle medium that I'm showing you here, that I've been using. So I haven't really tried many brands personally. I have two types of crackle medium myself. I have this one, which is literally just last little bits we're going to use for this video. I need to buy some more, but I'm struggling to find it at the moment. And then I have this fine line crackle varnish by the brand Pentart. We're not going to talk about this. This is slightly different. Now, so this one, I found it very easy to use. It's not temperamental in my experience. So essentially what you do, you have two bottles. Step one, you apply it first. So that will go on top of your picture, on top of your paint, whatever you have. And you apply step one, you let it dry. So as you apply it, it will be white, and then as it dries, it will turn sort of translucent. And then once that is dry, you apply your step two, and as that dries, you will be able to see all of the cracks appear. And then you use some kind of pigment to evidence the cracks. So what I have here is metallic pigments. So these are specifically made for, for artists that use mixed media or what have you. Or you can even use, I have lying around here, soft pastels. With this particular medium, I've used soft pastels, no problem. With this, it doesn't really work the same, for example. So I just wanted to mention that. In general, in my experience, from what I've seen other people say about different crackle varnishes, it depends on the brand. Every brand is going to have its own specifics of how you work with it. It's one of those things where it's very individual to every person. You just kind of have to buy yourself some of this stuff and then dive into it and experiment for a little bit and see what works for you. But anyways, I've already rambled on for a long time. I'm just gonna open this, and what I do is I just kind of, so this is just a plywood heart. Just wanted to show, because on one of my previous videos people keep asking as to like what I've done to this before I show the technique. So this is what it looked like before, just a plywood heart, 2 layers of white acrylic paint, and then I applied my napkin. If you want to learn how I apply my napkins, there's going to be a card popping up here, or there's going to be a link in the description below. And then I sealed it with this varnish. You don't have to do that, you can just use Mod Podge. I've only just recently bought this, and I find it, I really like it. It's very sort of thin, and so when I seal my napkin with this instead of Mod Podge, it's very like thin. You can't really feel anything, like, you know, when you apply Mod Podge, it's very thick and you can sometimes get streaks and little like ridges and what have you, but this is very thin, so it seals the napkin. It goes through, so it essentially works as glue, but a lot better in my opinion. So anyways, I apply my step one, and with this I have a lot of it left over, so I just kind of apply it generously all over the place with my synthetic brush. And then we're going to wait for it to dry. Now, so in my experience, I don't think it really matters how much of step one you apply. As long as you have a thin coat and it stays sticky after it's dry, you should be good to go, because that is what it's important for. This is going to stay sticky after it's dry, and so after your step two is dry and it cracks, the cracks are going to reveal the sticky parts, and that's where your pigments are going to stick in. So when you then go to seal it with varnish, the pigment is going to be stuck to the tacky layer underneath and it's not going to go anywhere. Anyways, so I'm just going to let it dry and then I'll see you after it's dry. Right, so now my step 1 is fully dry. As you can see, it's turned completely translucent. I'm just going to apply step 2. So I'm going to open this, kind of give it a little shake, pour all of the leftovers out that I have here. It's a little bit bubbly, but it's okay. We're going to fix it. I'm going to straighten it out with a brush. And so the trick with step 2, at least with this one, how it works is that the thicker the layer that you apply of step 2, the bigger the cracks are going to be. So if you apply a very thin layer, you're going to have tiny little cracks. If you apply a thick layer, you're going to have bigger cracks. You know what? I think those leftovers had quite a bit more than I anticipated in there, so I think I'm just going to scrape a little bit off. I think I might have just gone a little bit overboard. I don't want my cracks to be too big. Yeah, so I'm just going to scrape a little bit off. And again, this will be something that you might need to experiment with a little bit yourself as to how much product you need to apply to get what kind of cracks and so on, because again, it's different for every person. It's different for every different brand. So yeah, so it's going to be something that you might have to figure out as you go along. I just noticed that I got a little speck on this. I'm just going to take a little brush and remove it right there. And yeah, so it's just going to be something that you have to experiment with a little bit. Right, so I've applied my step 2 and I'm going to leave it to dry. I'm going to leave it to dry overnight, although the cracks on this one are going to start appearing in about an hour or so, probably even less. This one dries really quick, so but yeah, I will see you in the morning once it's all dry and then we'll finish it off. Okay, so it is the next morning and my cracks have appeared overnight. As you can see, there is a little bit of where I took out a little bit of debris with a brush. It is a little bit uneven there, so I really shouldn't have done that. Here's a tip for you in the future: leave the debris. Yeah, so as you can see the cracks in light, but now what we're going to do is we're going to add pigment to the cracks, and it's going to stick in the cracks on the sticky parts, and then we're going to wipe it all away and we're going to seal it. So what I have here is a mix of this copper pigment and a little bit of black soft pastel that I just kind of ground up and mixed in. I used it for another project, so the leftovers, well, crafters, we don't get rid of leftovers, we always reuse them. So I'm just going to do it over this plate so that I don't get the glitter everywhere, and just using a soft bristle brush, I'm just gonna go over my cracks just like that, and as you can see straight away, you can see the cracks. So this method is really good. So two-step crackle is really good for making this kind of crackled effect over a picture. So it's my favorite. I don't even have one-step crackle at all. I've never used it myself. I've seen loads of people use it before, and it kind of just gives you the effect of crackled paint. But this is by far my favorite because I just like that it makes it look like, it's almost like it gives it a porcelain look. and I really like it. So you can't even see it all that much, that bit where I went over it, where it wasn't very even. It blends in, so you can't even see it that much. With this Crackle, you can also just use your fingers to go over like so, and rub the pigment in. But as you can see, it's a little bit messy. With some of the other Crackles, two-step Crackles, you can't do that. Like with the other one that I have, you can't use your fingers to rub things in, because as soon as your fingers touch the surface, it kind of greases up, and then you won't be able to wipe away the excess. The excess just kind of gets stuck in there. So, so since then I've kind of got used to using my brush for this, but until I got my other Crackle, I used to always just use my fingers. Right, so that'll do. And so I just take a little bit of toilet paper and I give it a little scrub and rub. I really like to use soft pastels for this as well, because obviously the colour variety is much bigger. You can use whites, mix in whites, and then, you know, make a mix of different colours of your pigments, and then just take little bits from here and there. Take a little bit of orange, take a little bit of brown, a little bit of green, and kind of just, you know, make the cracks all different colours. So the possibilities are endless with this stuff, with this daily art Crackle medium. But with some of the other ones, again, like I said, it's just the case of you having to try it for yourself, see what works, see what doesn't. If you're trying something new that you haven't tried before, do it on something that you don't mind being ruined first, and see how it goes. It's, you know, the golden rule in general as a crafter. And so to seal it, I'm just going to use my very stylish carbonara jar. So I have a water-based glossy varnish in here, which is just this stuff. I haven't opened it just yet. What I do is, when I get my varnish, I open it and I pour it into a jar with a screw top, because it's a lot easier to open it, close it, and I don't like with these, whenever you open it and close it, whenever you use it, you end up with bits that get dry on the edges, and then as you open it, close it, they fall into the varnish. So here's a little tip for you. Anyways, I only have like leftovers in here, and with this with daily art Crackle varnish, you can use this, at least this Wilko's water-based varnish works absolutely fine on it. Now I tried spray varnish on it before, and for some reason it went like all crackly, so the varnish lifted up. So again, the varnish that you do have, you might just have to try it for yourself, test it out, see how it goes. They do say that it's best to use solvent-based varnishes over Crackle, but this water-based varnish by Wilko works absolutely fine on it. At least in my experience. Solvent-based varnishes are like yacht varnish or anything like that really smells. I don't like to use them personally. They're not as environmentally friendly. So yeah, it's like I said at the beginning, it's very individual. It's just going to be one of those things that you have to test out for yourself. But yeah, so that is it. I'm just going to let this varnish dry now, and here's the finished result. I'm going to take some pictures, probably put a string and a bow on this, and take some pictures, put them in at the end. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments. I always try to get back to people as soon as I can. All of the links for my social medias, for my Etsy page, are in the description below. And yeah, let me know what you would like me to do in the future, what tutorials you would like to see, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.